Rick joins us Rick works with David Barton and Wall Builders Live radio program and does a lot of great things. We've talked about the Patriot Academy for young people that Rick organizes around the country. And he's got something else going on we wanted to talk to him about. He joins us from, you in Austin? Where are you, Rick?
I am, yes, sir. How's it going, Tim?
Pretty good. You know Ray?
Yes, Ray, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Rick. Good to have you on.
Well, appreciate y'all having me, man.
Hey, tell our listeners what your day job is.
Which one? I feel like I got about 12, but...
just whatever, you know.
No, I'm blessed to work with David Barton, man. Been with him about 15 years. We got to know each other back when I was a state legislator in Texas in the House, and just started traveling and speaking for him and teaching on the Constitution. That's my main job, hosting Wall Builders Live with him and going out and teaching. And I've been taking my kids with me for a few years, and they started getting up and teaching on the stage. And I guess people just tend to pay a little more attention when a 10-year-old gets up and starts talking about the Constitution and the Declaration than they do when an old guy like me gets up there. But that has kind of spurred us to help them become sort of conduits for other people to learn about history and make it fun. You know, a lot of people think history's boring. It's just memorizing dates and places, and it doesn't have to be that way. That's what Barton does so well, is brings the stories to life. You know, he actually tells the story of the people that experienced that time, and that's what made me fall in love with history 15 years ago.
Right.
So that's the main thing we do, but we got a new project coming up.
Yeah, talk about it.
Well, we got approached by some folks to possibly do a reality show where our kids and our family would travel around the country and go to these historical sites and bring that to life for other people through the eyes of our children, but do it in a fun way, you know, not a boring, just documentary kind of thing, but follow us behind the scenes and see the chaos and the craziness of our family and at the same time get to enjoy and live those stories from history. So we went out to Philadelphia last fall and shot a pilot at Independence Hall, which is probably my favorite place in America in terms of history, just because it's the cradle of liberties where both the Constitution and the Declaration were done, and there's just so much rich history there and incredible stories behind the scenes that we don't typically hear. So we went out there and shot a pilot. It went really well. We had a blast. It was awkward, I'll tell you right now, Tim. I'm not used to having cameras follow me everywhere. It's like these reality shows, which I'm not a big fan of. It's just, it's like, why are you following me down the street? But these producers did a great job and put together a fun program, and folks can check out the pilot there at rickgreen.com or wallbuilderslive.com, and they can actually get involved with us. Right now we've got a promotion on Kickstarter where they can help us to finish the first season. We're headed out to Virginia, going to do a Patrick Henry special, and as you guys talk about a lot in terms of pastors and the influence of pastors, we're going to actually, instead of just studying Patrick Henry, we're going to go over to Polgreen Church, where he grew up listening to the Reverend Samuel Davies, and he said that's how he became a great orator, was following Davies. So really encourage people to not only learn that history, but also become mentors and teach young people to do the same thing. So anyway, we're excited, guys.
So how many kids you got?
We got 4, from 11 to 17, so you kind of get the...
Okay, y'all are going to be in a van or plane or what? How are you going to get around?
Well, we usually travel. We've got an old Eagle bus that we actually renovated ourselves years ago, and that's what we've traveled around in as they've been growing up. And
what kind of bus?
It's an old Eagle. I don't know if you know the Eagle buses. That's what they're not the big, nice Prevos. They're a little bit smaller than that, but it's been great for us. That's what we typically travel the country in and go visit these sites with.
An Eagle bus. So you're going to be going around the country visiting these historical sites with your family, and the TV cameras are going to be with you, making it a reality show. And is it going to be on a particular channel or network, or is it going to be online, or what?
It's going to be both, Lord willing. We've got a couple of networks we're negotiating with right now, and not sure which one yet, but for sure it'll be available online and should broadcast probably by late fall or early spring.
Rick, you mentioned that you're raising money for this using Kickstarter, and it occurred to me that that's a huge way people are crowdsourcing and crowdfunding and so on. But I think some of our listeners don't know what that is. So tell us what Kickstarter is,
including me. I have no idea
how they can help you out.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was about to say 3 months ago I had no idea what that was. I can't remember. I heard it on a radio program, believe it or not. Somebody talking about doing a Kickstarter. But it's really interesting because it allows people to get involved in launching a project. You know, a lot of times you'll hear about something like this, and we hear people all the time say, "Oh, I'd love to see something like that. I want good family programming. I want something that's wholesome and entertaining at the same time and educating." But you know, what can I do to help make that happen other than watch it when it comes out and hope that the ratings help and all that? What Kickstarter has done is not only in something like what we're doing, but music and documentaries and all kinds of projects. In fact, thousands of projects. What they do is they go to Kickstarter and you design, like what we did was we designed a page with some sneak peeks behind the scenes where you can see, you know, we shot an episode at David Barton's library and the kids went in and David and Tim got out a bunch of guns and cool stuff from the Revolutionary War. And so we shot a full episode there and we took a little, you know, sneak peek of that and we put it on Kickstarter with some other links and you know, sneak peeks. And it gives people a chance to see, okay, here's the project. Here's what people are doing. I can help with that project by going ahead and buying my box set for season 1, or they can, you know, we've got all kinds of options on there. The way Kickstarter does it, you get levels of contributions and rewards, but you're not just giving money to this project. You're actually buying something ahead of time. So you might get a season of what we're doing, or in our case, there's a package on there where you can get all of our Constitution classes and library of Liberty products, and you can even become a producer. Some people sign up to actually join the program as a producer and go out to some of the sites and be in some of the programs. And man, these guys have raised millions and millions and millions of dollars for all kinds of projects. Now, unfortunately, a lot of those projects are not projects, you know, guys like y'all and us would support. They're actually teaching a lot of bad stuff. But it has been a tool. I've seen a lot of good conservative projects and faith projects be funded on there as well. And that's what caught our attention. We said, hey, you know, this is a great way for us to get other people involved. They can get not only the sneak peeks, but if they go to Kickstarter and donate, they immediately get access to that pilot. So they can go watch the pilot. And then we have a survey form where they can actually give input on what they would like to see in terms of future programs, what they liked about the program, where they would like us to go visit, what kind of history they'd like us to teach. So it's like you said, I think you used the phrase too, it's crowdfunding. It's getting the crowd, it's getting people out there in the market to say what they want, which is a really great way for free enterprise to work instead of network executives being the only ones to decide what programming is good.
Why is there, Rick, with respect to our history and the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Founding Fathers and the principles that our country was built on, it seems like all those things were taught pretty strongly up until the 70s, or when did we begin to get away from those, the importance of the early American, the Revolutionary War, Founding Fathers, and those the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, those things? When did we begin to? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's
no. You're exactly right, Tim. It actually started earlier than that. It started in the early 1900s with the progressive movement, and you had these educators all the way up to advisors to the White House, and frankly, some of the presidents like Wilson that knew, I mean, they understood completely that our foundation was so strong,
right,
in faith and in these freedom principles and in liberty and individualism and all these things, that the only way to change that and take our country in a different direction towards more government and less liberty and as Rabbi Lapin says so well, you're either going to have an Abraham society or a Nimrod society, which means you have to get rid of God and faith and religion in order to have bigger government, because government has to replace it. So these folks knew that, and so by devaluing the founding era, devaluing the documents, devaluing the founders, beginning to really deride them and tell all the negatives about them and not the positives, they could make us less interested in where we came from and the real value of those documents and those people. So it started in those textbooks all the way back into the 20s and really took hold in the 60s and 70s, like you were saying, and now it's almost non-existent. As you know, David's an advisor to a lot of states on their history standards. Back when I was a legislator, I fought tooth and nail on preventing these textbooks that would literally wipe out. I mean, you would have no mentions of guys like Jefferson and Franklin, even the least religious of the founders, but let alone men like Benjamin Rush and John Adams. So it's been a really 100-year effort on the left's
Well,
part.
I'm 51, and I remember even back in the 60s and 70s, with much of America, because their teachers were at that time, older.
Yeah.
And they were World War II and beyond, and before that, the patriotism was a big deal.
That's right.
Patriotism was a big deal in America up until, I don't know when that changed, but it seemed like it changed, maybe started to take full effect, maybe, the last couple of decades or so.
Yeah, I think late 80s is really when it started getting almost negative. It was we were the problem instead of look at what America has been able to do.
Right, and there's no, we don't wish we had more time, we can talk about this later, but there's just no comparison to anything in human history in terms of self-government, freedom, liberty, that's ever been successful. Like
not even close.
It's not even close.
And that's really what we want to inspire with the show. We want people to see. We want to remind them where we came from. For some people, it'll be the first time they hear a lot of these stories.
There you go. So where do we go to follow the Green family around America?
Couple places. You can go to rickgreen.com, or you can just simply go to kickstarter.com and look up Rick Green, and it'll pull up Red, White, Blue, and Green. That's the name of the program.
Hey, did you come up with that name?
No, the producers did. I wish I could claim it.
Man, that's pretty clever right there. I don't know what color do you get though when you mix red, white, blue, and green?
That's a good question. We'll have a science experiment maybe on one of the
programs. I need to get my Crayolas out over here and give that a try and see what I come up with. Hey, thank you, Rick. Appreciate it.
Bless you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, the Duggar Girls are coming up next. 4